Good morning, everyone. It's me again, Mike from MikeGnosis.com, and today I just wanted to tell you about another meditation experience that I had fairly recently, probably in the last 6 months or so. This experience challenged my fears, but ultimately, afterwards, left me feeling stronger and a lot more confident, and I ended up conquering an old dark fear of mine that I've had since I was a child. So let's dig in. Alright, so in the last video I spoke of a meditation experience that enlightened me. It lifted me up. Today I want to talk about an experience that shines on the darker side of meditation. And my first experience with challenging fear. Fear, we all have it. We all know what it is. Some of us more than others. Fear is an autonomous reaction to a perceived threat or danger. When fear strikes us, it's generally because we're faced with something that triggers a fear, causing our bodies to go into a fight or flight mode. This usually stems from a phobia of something that was created by some sort of traumatic event or experience in your life. Quite often, these traumatic events or experiences get buried in your subconscious, and those phobias and experiences only ever really bubble up and surface when the proper triggers arise. Phobias like the famous arachnophobia, the fear of spiders, or claustrophobia, the fear of confined spaces. There are phobias and fears for practically everything. A fear of water, hydrophobia, or a fear of heights, acrophobia. If you're afraid of airplanes, aerophobia. These fears are generally and often created by some sort of traumatic event or experience, and usually in childhood. They seat themselves in your subconscious and sit there and grow slowly over time, brewing, waiting to explode with the proper trigger. I kind of like to call these fears influences. Influences can be anything. It could be a plane crash that you've seen on TV when you were 3 years old. It could be just the sight of a spider, or being bitten by a spider, or just watching one walk could be enough of a trigger to seat that phobia into your subconscious, into your long-term subconscious, storing it as a autonomous response, so that every time you see that spider or that airplane, it pops back up and says, hey, you got a phobia. Now, some of these phobias are deep-rooted, like instinctually rooted, passed down from generation to generation, and nobody's ever confronted them. The thing with phobias is if you don't ever confront the phobia, the fear will never be overcome. Overcoming fear takes practice, much like playing a piano. You practice, the more you practice, the better you get at it. You need to stare at it. You need to recognize it. You need to face it. You need to do it. You need to smile at it. And then you need to love it. Once you've mastered the art of confronting that fear, then you can go about deconstructing it and how to heal from it. One of the biggest phobias that I've had since I was a little kid, the fear of darkness, or nyctophobia. It's also called scotophobia, acluophobia, or lygophobia as well. My fear of the darkness has been rooted inside of me since I was a little child. My nyctophobia. I have some very specific points of fear from when I was a kid that I can remember. One of them specifically was Michael Jackson's Thriller. It ended up giving me nightmares. That video came out in November of 1983. I would have just been 4 years old, and I've had Michael's zombie face in my head all those years, up until March of 2019. This meditation experience is short. It's not long or drawn out by any means. and it was cut short because of the fear that arose while I was in meditation. The thing is, though, out of all my experiences, this is probably the one that has held the most truth for me. This meditation happened to me about mid-March of 2019 this year. I had had some growth with my depression and anxiety issues, mostly because I had filled my head for the past year with videos from Vic, Aaron, and Ralph. But I was in a better headspace. Life was looking up. I was meditating a minimum of 1 hour a day, every day, so by the time I got home, it was straight to the couch. So on this day when I did my meditation, I started with some breath work. And guys, if you want the key to calming your anxiety and depression, do some breath work. Wim Hof, do some breath work. The oxygen that floods your system will fire up and calm your central nervous system. Water and oxygen, good for the soul. So on this day, I spent about 10 minutes doing some very simple breath work. My breaths are generally a 5-5-5 basis. So 5 in, breathe in for 5 seconds, hold right to the diaphragm as far as you can go, hold for 5 seconds, and then release for 5 seconds. And then turn around and just repeat the cycle. So you're constantly doing 5 second, 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 and you're constantly training. As I release, sometimes I'll put a sigh into the breath out. So just because that extra vibration and the subconscious thought of that release just makes you feel that much more relaxed. Do this for 5 to 10 minutes before meditating. I mean, quite honestly, it's not necessary to do that much breath work, but what you're doing is you're creating a rhythm inside of your body. You're becoming in tune with your body. And over time, that lengthy breath work will become more natural as you habitualize it. The point is to train your body to breathe with more proper motion. Once I was ready, and I knew this because I felt all light and heady, I lied down on the couch, blanketed, head propped up, arms and legs at my side, uncrossed. And at this point in my meditation practice, I was still using guided meditations. And I had found this 45-minute long third eye activation meditation, so I thought I'd try that out this day. I closed my eyes and I began to drift. It didn't take me long to get into the slip. I already had that sense of weightlessness from the breath work before. After about 15 minutes or so of being guided down, I was freely floating away in the slip, in the drift. So peaceful, just like being in the ocean. And I was there for what felt like forever. Then, bam! As I was gently floating around and entertaining myself with these flighty movements in space, this face pops right in front of mine, like literally like this. It was like looking in a mirror, but the face wasn't mine. And it scared the living shit right out of me. At the time, I described the face like little Linda Blair's face from Exorcist, except not scabby, just smooth skin, with pale eyes, white eyes, and this creepy grin. The head was slightly tilted, just slightly tilted, with this creepy grin and the white eyes. Oh, I just got chills thinking about it. And it was wearing a shirt that was very Beetlejuice-esque, black and white stripes. And the hair was flowing, but it didn't look like hair. It looked more like incense smoke. It was a pretty instantaneous thing. It happened so quick, just like one of those scary YouTube videos you come across where they get you to watch the video and you stare at one spot and turn your volume up and you're sitting there intently staring at it, and at the last second they throw a scary image up and throw a scream into it just to make you jump out of your seat. It was pretty much exactly like that, except with no volume. I mean, it was disturbing, freaky, creepy, unnerving, but exciting and cool all at the same time. Interesting. So at this point in my life, I was beginning to get more confident with my meditations and how I maneuvered through those meditations. I was confident that I was protected and that my higher self had my back. So the moment that I seen that face, I was terrified. Total fear. But then the fear turned to power and anger, and for a moment I had this Superman complex. I mean, here I am just floating around, enjoying myself peacefully flying through space, and this thing wants to disturb me? And to top it all off, my fear of the dark had me feeling held, stuck, like I was paralyzed. But then, like I said, I had this sense of feeling like Superman. I had this power, this Superman complex thing go through me. It was odd. My first instinct to react was to scream at it. Just haul out and scream at it. So I did. Get out of here! You're not wanted here! You're not serving me! As I was doing this, I was visualizing myself, screaming at it, pointing at it, giving it shit, giving the face shit, and every time I did that, it would go further and further back into the slip. And I mean, gang, it scared the balls off me. Honestly, it scared the balls off me. But it's hard to explain because there was a mix of emotions at that point in time. I felt powerful, I felt truth, I felt anger, I felt fear, I felt terrified all at the same time. But it woke me out of that meditation. Very briefly. Once it happened, woke me, my eyes opened for maybe 2 seconds. Just enough time to make a decision. Do I go back in and face that fear in the meditation? Or do I just wake up and go make supper and go about the rest of my day? I decided to go back in. And it maybe was a minute. It felt like 30 seconds to a minute. And then, bam, there it is again. But this time not so close. It was only about halfway back. Still looking to raise my fear, but this time there wasn't any fear. I didn't have any fear the second time in. So I blasted it again. And I pushed it back into the slip, back into the void. The moment it left, I felt a sense of ease, peace, accomplishment, strength like I'd never felt before. It was an amazing feeling. I stood there, well, I floated there as that being drifted off into space. And for a few moments after that, I felt at peace. Then my eyes popped open and the meditation was over. It was short and sweet, but it had 2 points. First point, don't yell and scream at the entities. I soon found out afterwards that I only fed it more with anger and frustration. You're supposed to send them love and light. I agree 98%, however, I'm not so sure of that truth. Me lashing out on that entity was my first defensive instinct. I felt power inside, like Superman, like completely untouchable. So me lashing out on that entity, I felt like God giving his kids shit. Point number 2. Pay attention to what you're looking at in your meditations. It wasn't until a few days later that some memories surfaced back up for me. And that's when I realized that the face that I saw was actually a closer resemblance to Michael Jackson's face in the Thriller video. I haven't had another encounter with this fear since that day. And afterwards, my fear of the dark, my childhood fear of the dark was gone. It was completely gone. So by entering that meditative state and confronting that fear, I had the chance to abolish it, or at the very least put it into some sort of remission. It could resurface again. We'll see. After that meditation experience, I had a few creepy experiences happen in my apartment. Things that would have normally shook me up and sent me running to my car to sleep for the night. I knew this fear was gone from me, because after those experiences had happened, I had no fear. I've always said to myself, if Dracula or Frankenstein or a werewolf would come flying in the door right now, that I'd probably laugh at it. But if a ghost or a spook would just poof appear beside me, like a little old lady sitting there holding a candle smiling at me, I would freak right out and run out of here screaming like a little girl. Now, that fear is completely gone. I say, bring on the little old creepy ghost ladies. And it was all because of me confronting my fear in meditation. Okay guys, this was a slice. I really do hope that you don't encounter anything like I have in your meditation practice. But if you do, don't yell at it. Don't scream at it. Just send it your love, send it your light, and know that you're powerful and that you're protected. And it can't hurt you. And buy some black tourmaline just in case. If you have a cool experience that you want to share with me, please leave me a message in the junk drawer below. I love you all. I thank you all. Happy meditating.